Welcome back to the Tidarium Hangar. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with a weekly news and review for May 16th, 2021. It's been a great week of news and updates. We have some masterpiece reveals. We've got some stuff going on with pretty much every franchise, from Star Wars to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. We're going to talk about all this fun stuff, including Gijoe, coming up. Alright, starting out with a few things I found at Show Z. Now, this actually was sent to me from Magnus Deacon at Magnus Loot Crates, and so appreciate it. He did see that I was reviewing the Brainstorm, sent this over to me that Show Z's got this up for pre-order. This is a set of 7, so I guess it's everything that they've done so far already. I believe all of these, or most of these, are KO oversized versions of unique toys, but the deal is you gotta buy the whole set of 7, and it's gonna be like $150 to $170 in that price range area. Price isn't up just yet on Show Z, but if you're in the situation like myself and you have 4 and you only need the 3, do you have to buy the whole thing? Will you get a few of other ones in? Will stragglers come in? Will you be able to buy one of each of these separately, or the 3 that I need? I don't know. Will I have to get in on the whole set and then try to sell some extras? I don't know, but I think it's a pretty good set, and I think so far every one of these I've reviewed I'm sort of impressed with, because they don't just KO oversize unique toys, they make a lot of improvements. They also have the Fans Hobby MB14 Cab Hosehead. This is the Headmaster Junior. They're continuing these things, got some colored renders here for it, and it does turn into a fire truck. It is a pretty good looking figure, a good looking bot, and seeing as how we're not getting the big Headmasters completed, we'll probably have these Headmaster Juniors completed before we get a Brainstorm and a Highbrow in the Masterpiece scale. Not bad for $89.99. Is probably going to be a pretty good size, one of the bigger Headmaster Juniors. And lastly, we're getting Zeta's version of Starscream up for pre-order at Show Z. I don't see it anywhere else. We've kind of been tipped off that this was going to happen, and I wasn't really 100% sure it was going to happen, but here it is. It's the Zeta Toys EX15 Red Spider Starscream, and it looks okay. It is going to be the same height and scale, probably will be technically shorter than their cone heads, but it's going to be about that size. It's 10.63 inches tall, due out late September of 2021, and it looks okay. I do have their cone heads myself. I do think they look fine. They look okay, but is this going to be too tall next to like Takara, Megatron, and all that stuff? So it is kind of in that scale of their own. It looks all right. I think it might even carry more of a metallic premium finish to it, so hopefully it does. But it's kind of strange, and it brings up the whole question, the whole Unicron question all over again. Are they trying to step on Takara's toes, get in their way right while they're putting out a new Starscream and Secret Mold? Seems kind of odd. So, speaking of Takara, this week we got to see some pictures of some of their upcoming releases that are coming soon. And there was some question as to if this next one that we're going to show after the Shoki is actually really going to be what's coming in the future. But anyway, this is Takara's version of the first Raiden bot, and it's Shoki. It's from Raiden. I'm not an expert on this, by the way, but I have enough knowledge of this to do a side-by-side comparison. So this is Takara on the left and Moon Studio on the right. This is allegedly the same character. They both got the Shoki name in it. So looking at the different stylization that Takara's going for versus Moon Studio or Zeta, then you're going to see that they do look completely different. Now, we're going with Chug for Takara. It's not going to be true Masterpiece scale. And the Moon Studio one is definitely going for Masterpiece. And guess what? The video I made Friday, you guys definitely talked me in to getting Raiden, the train bot. I'm not really too associated with it, in love with it, but I guess I'm going to go ahead and pick it up because of all the great comments I've been hearing. Might have to get Takara's too, because that's going to be a pretty cool Chug one, and probably even cheaper than trying to track down an original G1. So the other picture that is actually kind of on the same page of this magazine scan is this Jetfire and Skyfire, whichever one you want to call it. And looking at it, there's a couple of issues. First of all, it feels like a really, really, really old design. Why would it be compared next to MP10? So there's a lot of questions here, and people are saying, well, this is what's coming up, and it's very tune accurate. And I wanted to argue that point, and I probably could have done a whole video on it. So here's a picture that I used when I was doing some comparisons of Dakatoi's Chronos compared to some other ones, I guess. And this is interesting. The Takara design actually matches the animation really, really close. It probably matches it a little closer than Fans Toys. Fans Toys gives it a little bit more of kind of a heroic stance. So I think we might, at the end of the day, still like a Fans Toys design better than being super close to the tune like Takara's going. If this is really coming out, or is this thing a project that was thought of and forgotten? Takara continuing to make news with their masterpiece in the Masterpiece Optimus Prime from the Bumblebee movie here, and it looks pretty much exactly like what I would expect. I like these pictures, are a lot better. That is a ridiculously massive amount of detail on this figure. You kind of have to, because the character has that, but that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of gears and servos going on right there, right? So here's the alt mode, and it does clean up pretty good in alt mode. I like a nice clean alt mode, especially for Optimus Prime. Don't have a whole lot of other angles to kind of see the top. I wonder if the back, the flat back part, is a mess. But you can store the gun back there, the weapon back there, so kind of cool. Some of the same things they've done with other Primes in the past. So speaking of the Bumblebee movie stuff, we've got this Bumblebee movie Blitzwing model kit by Trumpeter, and there's some new images of it. It looks pretty good, actually. Model kit probably has no transformation to it. It's interesting how these kits are becoming more and more popular, and it seems like they're making more and more of them, but it looks great. Now here it is. Here's the work. You're gonna have to take it all off the sprue, and some people, well, I think a lot of people clip them off the sprue and then assemble it. I don't know how much fun that is. It doesn't look fun to me, but the end result looks like a great looking figure to have on your shelf that doesn't transform. So we got some more pictures of Flames Toys Victory Leo, and this is another non-transforming, extremely high-end figure, and it looks pretty good. Again, I'm not an expert on this myself, but I do think it's interesting. The Star Saber or Star Blade that was made, they made a Star Saber. Another company made a Star Saber. We're waiting on that Victory Leo from Iron Trans also. So I don't know which one will come out first, but it's kind of interesting that they all kind of have different styles. Flames Toys has its own style. Now, I can tell you right now, you're not going to find another Victory Leo combined up with a Star Saber that looks anything like this, because this is way different. It definitely has an interesting look about it. It's a bit different, or a lot different, than the G1 and the G1 designs, but it still carries a lot of those aesthetic cues with it, so it looks really good. I'm not sure how much it is. It didn't say the price in here, but it's going to be pretty expensive. And since we're talking about Flames Toys has some more pictures of their Optimus Primal coming out if you're into... I believe this is an IDW version of Beast Wars or whatever. Anyhow, this is pretty interesting looking figure, and it's probably going to be pretty big, pretty solid. But the interesting part was more of the back reveal, and kind of this is what it looks like from behind. If it doesn't have to transform, it has a whole lot less kibble, and I don't know if you'd want to call those big giant sabers, those swords, kibble. But yeah, it does clean up so much better if it doesn't have to transform. So if you're looking forward to this Ocular Max IF01 Eris Coulter, this purple figure here, it looks pretty cool. I've talked about it in the past, but I hear it's going to get delayed a bit. I think a lot of things have been kind of getting delayed, so really it's not a big surprise. I mean, unless you're Takara and you're only delayed like a week or two, it seems like everything else seems to get pushed back a full month or 2 months. So many things have been delayed this year, it's kind of surprising. I was kind of hoping things would go back to normal with release schedules, but everything seems to be getting a bit of a delay. So let's get down to the brass tacks of Legends. So we got some Legends news here. We already talked about McFans Toys earlier, and McFans Toys is busy beaver with their Octane. This is their version of Octane right here, and they've got some more pictures, and it looks pretty good. In fact, I think they do some of the better triple changers in the third-party realm, and they've learned from their mistake. They're taking a second shot at Springer also. Anyway, this one, it looks exactly what you'd expect with an Octane, and now that I've had a couple of Octanes at different scales now, so I kind of know what to expect out of this thing, and it looks great. The interesting thing, and I think out of all the pictures, is what it looks like next to everyone else. It is a bit shorter than Megatron. So I'm thinking this is a KO oversized Megatron, so it's not actually the actual New Age Megatron. It's one of the upscaled New Age. I think Jen Bauer, one of them, did this one. I don't know which one. But you get to see the size, but I'm a little surprised it's so much shorter than their own Astro Train. And lucky for us, we get New Age pictures of Bumblebee and Cliffjumper as a 2-pack. Now, in my mind, when I saw those pre-orders, I actually was thinking, okay, they're going to be made and packaged separately, but they're forcing you to buy them together. Well, they're forcing you to buy them together because they're packaged together, so there it is, like 2 for $70 deal. Well, like, that's not really a bad a price. 35 bucks a piece, 2 for $70. It's not that bad of a deal. Now, when you look at these, let's look at exactly how good they look. Here we are with the Bumblebee and the Cliffjumper together, and I want to point out that the Bumblebee design, I think that Magic Square has a better design, and this has a better finish. Same story. I feel like a broken record when I talk about Legends, but I still feel the same way. I still look over at the Magic Square and wish it would have the same color scheme and kind of pop as good as this does with the colors, but I like the Magic Square design better. Now, looking over here at Cliffjumper, he's kind of got that X-Transbots backpack going on. So the Cliffjumper and X-Transbots had a big backpack. This dude's got a big backpack. It just seems like something you can't get away from with Cliffjumper, I guess. Here are their alt modes. The alt modes look good. I really think this really is the shining moment here, the alt mode moment. They look great. And maybe New Age gave a lot more work towards the alt mode and sacrificed a bit in bot mode, and Magic Square did the opposite with their Bumblebee. They wanted their bot mode to look as perfect as possible, and their alt mode doesn't look that great. So getting into some of the mainline, or the Chug, or the classic Hanky universe generations, and yeah. Anyway, the Chug stuff going on this week, there's quite a bit of information, quite a bit of reveals, but we've got information on what we talked about last week with the Takara Premium Paint versions of Bumblebee and Optimus Prime. And these are different series that they're putting out, but we've got a movie Bumblebee, and we've got it's a Siege Optimus Prime with an updated paint scheme. Now, price is about $33 to $35 on the Bumblebee, depending on where you get it, and for the Prime, it's anywhere from $52 to $55, depending where you get it, which is kind of blowing my mind. It's a $30 Voyager figure with nothing added, and to me, the paint doesn't look like it's a premium paint. It's just more smudging and wear and all that stuff to it for 50 bucks, almost a leader class price. And I just don't know. Maybe it's just because technically it's still an import, even though US distributors are carrying it. It's not like you can find this at Walmart or Target. So that's kind of crazy. That's kind of weird. I already feel like I got the best mold, the best paint scheme of this mold from that Walmart exclusive version that had cell shading. So we have gotten a reveal of the Autobot Mirage and Maximal Grimlock 2-pack, Amazon exclusive. You can order it through Amazon, pre-order it, and I'll try to find a link for it. But I pre-ordered mine, and I was a little surprised it was so expensive, $53. I guess since the Maximal Grimlock is kind of like the Dinobot, and it's 30 bucks, and then you've got the Mirage, and the Mirage is 23 bucks. So you add them together, you get like a $52, $53 price point. I guess that makes sense. So I was expecting for some reason like $39.99. I was wrong. Anyhow, if you want to get this, you're going to get it mostly because it's going to be more of an Earth scheme to the Mirage. But most people already have the first Mirage that came out, not knowing there'd be another one coming down the road. And so is this pack going to be sought after for the Mirage? Does anyone even care about this Dinobot recolor into a Maximal Grimlock? Does anyone care about that at all? So will this set purely be driven for Mirage? Now, I like the fact that we get something like this Maximal Grimlock. I'm not against it. I don't hate it. I have nothing against it whatsoever. And this is the perfect exclusive. But Mirage is something everyone wants, and of course they want the best version, not the Cybertronian version, the Earth version. And so we're pretty much buying it for this guy. Why couldn't we put another like Beast Wars figure in there? You're even mixing them up. Like, a lot of people don't even collect Beast Wars that want Mirage. So there's a lot of issues with this set. But hey, at least we're getting the figure. So Crimzeek Reviews got his hands on the tracks and did a review of him. I need to go watch that, by the way. I need to watch his review there. But it looks pretty good. Actually, I think this Trax is one of the better looking Carbots that we've seen in the Siege, Earthrise, and now Kingdom. And I like it. I like the way it looks. It's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. But it's the best one we've received so far from Hasbro. I like it. I'm okay with it. I'm in on it. Now, I do want to point out that there's a couple of interesting points with this. First of all, it's way better than what we saw with Sunstreaker. The Sunstreaker, I don't know. I don't know about the Sunstreaker yet. I haven't even opened my Sunstreaker. It was kind of that whole, this day and age, it's feast or famine, and at the time it was kind of feast of just all kinds of stuff showing up at once, and I haven't really got to mess with it yet. But looking at these side by side, I'm thinking this blows Sunstreaker out of the water. And there's a nice little family portrait going on with an Optimus Prime, and we've got Grapple in there, and the Bumblebee from the Netflix. So that's a nice looking team. Scale-wise, I think it scales okay. I wouldn't have minded, I wouldn't have been upset at all if it was a little bit taller, but it still looks pretty good all in all. And it does shine in alt mode, maintains the whole wing flying apparatus kind of gimmick that's going on right there. But I want to point out with this alt mode, I'm glad they didn't make this in Siege. I'm glad they waited till Earthrise or now Kingdom to make it, because I like the true accurate alt mode and it looks great. And one 5mm port on the back. The rest is pretty clean. So we've gotten some pictures of the core class Dracodon, and this thing it's kind of interesting, with $10 price point. It's kind of following through with this all new type of deal that's going on with Hasbro and the Kingdom, and they're making it new for Kingdom. But here we go with the alt mode, under 4 inches, or I guess bot mode, sorry, under 4 inches. So you can see with the whole family portrait what it's going to look like. So it's going to stack up to all of the other characters, all of the other fossilizers. Yeah, fossilizers. Here we go. That's how it looks. Kind of a crazy green. So we got some pictures via Prime versus Prime, and great YouTube channel. I did actually go watch his video about Bumblebee, which it seems kind of odd watching a video about a non-transforming Transformer. It's like, what are you going to say? Well, I learned a lot. Turns out this Bumblebee is as big, if not bigger, than some of the other red figures. This red Bumblebee is as tall as you can see right here, Soundwave, and almost as tall as the Starscream, side by side. And I used to think, man, Bumblebee is just too small. Make them a little bigger, make Carbots bigger, and now, be careful what you ask for. You just might get it. This is too big. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't work at all. You can nitpick all the other aesthetic cue issues, but the size is a big no. Like, it's not, he doesn't need to be that big. He doesn't make any sense. But anyway, that's what they're doing. That's the direction they're going with it. Starscream does actually look pretty good overall. Kind of the direction that they went with it and gave it the coordination, all that. I really like all that. For Red is like an action figure line. We're expecting like Black Series and Marvel Legends kind of stuff level of design to it, and I don't feel like these truly live up to it so much, but it's still kind of nice. Again, I feel like they missed the mark by not making these scale with the regular line, with the regular Chug line. This being an alternate like 11th scale to collect is not fun for me, and probably frustrating to other collectors also. But now with Bumblebee being as big as Optimus Prime and Megatron, it's also confusing. So we're getting some pictures of the Commander class, Rodimus Prime, and some stuff that I've been thinking is really coming true with this thing. But first I want to say, look at the expression on his face. He looks like Springer ran off with RC or something. That's kind of the expression that they put on his face there. And he looks kind of interesting. He actually does look interesting. I like the hot rod, so I figure I would like this. And maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. Here's Y'all Mode without the trailer on it, but it looks pretty cool. It's kind of like one of those things you could sort of get away with once you put all the gun and all that stuff on it, and get away with this as being a hot rod too, I guess. So it's a little bit different, well, a lot different than how they did the hot rod, but still it's kind of cool. So here we go with the picture of an $80 figure shaking hands with more or less a $30 Voyager. I guess you will say, well, no, he was 50 because he came with a trailer. So he's 50 with Prime's 50, he came with a trailer. This guy comes with a trailer and he's 80. So I don't know, a little bit torn on this one. So before we get into any Star Wars news, I want to talk about a couple things. First off, this He-Man or Master of the Universe, and this is the Revelations figures. There's more reveals, actual figure reveals here, and I've got mixed feelings about this. I actually want to make an entire video about it because it goes a lot deeper than, hey, there's another line, 7-inch line, or whatever, because there's only a few years left that Mattel has the license to make these toys. So what are they doing with it? Are they squandering this time making something like this? Is this going to be well received? Is this going to get passed over? Will I be buying these in the clearance bin? There's a lot of questions here, but this is what they look like, and you can decide for yourself if you like these designs, because these aren't new characters right here. Well, thank goodness. But are they good for what they are? And we also got pictures of from the animated show, some animated, so I don't really know. I got to dig deeper on this because this just popped up. This stuff looks a lot different, like way different. So I'm going to have a lot to say, and I want to organize everything. Maybe I'll make a whole new video if enough people are interested in that. So we're hearing that Major Blood should start showing up any day now, should show up at your targets, and you start checking your targets if you're looking to get a Major Blood. Now, the thing about this is, I'm also hearing that he's being packed as 2 Major Bloods in a case, 2 Vipers, and 2 Fireflies. They're carrying forward Viper Firefly, which is a good idea because a lot of people didn't get their hands on them, and a lot of people want 6, 8, 10 Vipers, so why not? And will this make Major Blood harder to get? Well, maybe, but if they make the same number of Major Blood as they make with all the other ones, well, that would make a lot more Vipers readily available, so that would work. I mean, why not do 3 Vipers and 3 Bloods? But it's a kind of a good idea that they're doing that if they do that. But this may be they're doing this pack and they're doing a full pack of just Major Blood till these things start hitting and we find out for sure. Nobody really knows. But it'll be interesting to find out how this hunt goes down for the Major Blood, and then maybe for the Alley Viper that's coming up. So, getting into some Star Wars news, we have the 3rd episode of Bad Batch. It seems to be a pretty good show, pretty good series, kind of a continuation but a departure from the Clone Wars series, and I enjoy it, my kids enjoy it, my wife enjoys it, so it's going sort of in the right direction, and I kind of like what's going on in there. Hopefully they continue this, but they also give us some of the live action stuff that we all really want. Looking at the Black Series, we have seen this past week the Asajj, Ventress, Bo-Katan, Hunter wave show up, and I kind of feel like a bit of a broken record, but I don't like the fact that they short pack the cases. And if you're following the Bad Batch show, you might guess why they're short packing Crosshairs, but I don't know. We don't know anything 100% yet because the show's not that far along. But why are they short packing Crosshairs? They're carrying over Hunter. It's already double packed in this case. It's going to be carried to the next assortment. So some of the weird decisions they're making sort of make you start to guess about what's going to happen in the show. So if you're out on the hunt and you're looking for the Clone Wars Black Series Target exclusive with exclusive packaging of the 6-inch figures, then they're going to be showing up on May 23rd, theoretically, unless you're this guy that happened to get one already. So it's interesting that they're already showing up. They're not showing up in my neck of the woods. Maybe they are in yours, so keep an eye out for them. They may actually be harder to get than originally thought, since they are Target exclusive. And that packaging, as much as I didn't like it back in the day, I kind of like it now. So at yakface.com, they're pushing for the Tanaka sisters to get made in the vintage collection, and it sort of makes sense. Let's give us some stuff that characters that were in the original trilogy should be on the vintage collection. That's one of my things I like about the vintage collection. You're getting figures from the original 96 or 105, depending on how you look at it. Or we're going to get characters that never got made in the vintage, that should have gotten made in the vintage, but we end up getting all these new characters that they just made up last week on a vintage collection card back instead of what we really need. Same thing with the retro collection. But I really would like to see this happen. This would be good. There's a whole lot of other characters, probably about another 20 characters that they need to get in the vintage collection that they haven't yet. But are they going to string out finishing the 96 or the 105, however you look at it, forever? And we have the Star Wars Celebration coming May 26th through the 29th. That'll be interesting to see in a year, 2022, in Anaheim. So this is going to be fun. You're going to see a lot of cosplay, a lot of dress up. Of course, vendors selling and all that great stuff. But I always watch it from afar. I've never attend. That's too much traveling for me. But it's going to be interesting, exciting, and I always love seeing events, hearing the events, seeing the videos from the event. So it'll be kind of interesting. So yeah, pretty light week of Star Wars news. I guess all of the Star Wars team at Hasbro are standing in line trying to get a pack of Pokemon cards. So let me know what you think about this week's weekly news interview. What other stuff is going on out there? Do you want to see me make a Star Wars video telling you how I think we can fix Star Wars? Do you want to see me make a video talking about all the new upcoming reveals with He-Man Masters of the Universe? Should I just make them anyway? Whatever. Well, let me know what else is going on out there in the world. Like and subscribe. Peter Mayor, out.